President Trump appeared this afternoon at a tax event in West Virginia after ordering the National Guard to the Mexican border to combat illegal immigration and drug smuggling. He remains firm on his plans to secure the border with our military as the situation, he says, has reached a point of crisis.
We have to have strong borders. We're going to have the wall. We've already started building it. We're going to have our wall, and we're going to get it very strongly. The military is going to be building some of it. We cannot let people enter our country. We have no idea who they are, what they do, where they came from. We have no idea what their records are. So we're working out systems now, and we called out the National Guard, and you know, we're doing a real job. But I'll tell you what, the laws of this country have to be strengthened and toughened up.
The Pentagon hasn't determined yet whether troops deployed will be armed. The move drawing heavy criticism from the left, who claim this is all just a rallying cry to the president's base.
This president doesn't plan out anything, doesn't coordinate, and essentially is using, again, our troops as a political ploy so he can, you know, again, boost his numbers with his base voters.
I don't see the urgency, but there clearly is a political imperative. Political urgency might be different than national security urgency. And
sham might be the word you're looking for.
Border security is an issue that won him lots of support during the campaign, and he's playing to that base again.
This is more about the politics, given how the wheels have sort of come off for the president on the DACA side of things. When you get Ann Coulter and many on the very conservative hard right saying, what the hell is your problem? What are you doing? That rattled him.
Okay, Greg, so is this just a rallying call to the base? And like Juanito said yesterday, Ann Coulter has
she runs the whole world.
She's running
the
world.
What the left is, there's two angles that are working right now. The first one is they're calling this security theater. This is all security theater.
Like the TSA.
Exactly. However, it's actually left-wing activist theater because that illegal border crossing was manufactured by an activist group. The Caravan was organized to create a confrontation. But Trump was able to stop the confrontation by creating a metaphorical wall, i.e. himself saying, I'm sending in the army. The whole thing capitulated, and Mexico cooperated. He won this round in a highly visual manner. Now, the new media angle is this wasn't a story until Trump made it one, right? Nobody ever knew about this caravan. Well, you're absolutely right. You figured out how Trump works. He takes a story that the media ignores, and then he makes it his story, especially, like, look at Kate Steinle. This is like he takes something that is very visual that people understand, and he makes it a national story, much like what Fox News does. We tackle stories that the rest of the media doesn't cover.
All right, but one follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, you've been very good so far. I'm sure they'll be blown away into bits in a moment.
Yes.
How about the fact that none of the troops, they're saying we're not sure they're going to be armed on the border? I don't like that.
I don't know if it's necessary. I think he's already proved the point, right? He is a metaphorical wall. I mean, the way he responded was all that was necessary. It's security theater trumps activist theater.
Okay, so Kennedy, perhaps they're going to link arms at the border.
Maybe. I mean, what are they doing there? And why have past presidents sent the National Guard in the first place? You know, maybe President Bush was worried that there were terrorists who were going to pour over the border. Perhaps President Obama was worried because of the drug war and the escalating violence and homicides on the border. This isn't the first president who's done that. You wouldn't know that by the hysterical reaction on the left. But anytime you're going to spend a bunch of money like this, you better have a point to it. Because when President Bush sent 6,000 National Guard troops, it cost about $500 million. And that's a lot of money, and it's money that we don't have. I also understand it's a way of the president looking like he's doing something, because right now Congress is not going to give him money for the wall. You know, they may give him a little bit of seed money. $1.5 billion really isn't that much. And so this is the only other thing he can do to show that he's doing something. We also have to ask, what kind of a hellhole is Honduras? That's number one. What is going on in that country that people are leaving in droves and taking a very perilous journey through Mexico? The other question is, what is Mexico's immigration policy? Yeah. And is the president putting pressure on them to do their work for that leg of the journey?
Okay, Congressman.
The president's doing exactly what he told America he was going to do if he got into office. He needs to lock down that border and get rid of the rewards and incentives. And hallelujah, he's actually doing it. I'm glad he's doing it. And I'm kind of sick and tired of these people on the left saying, oh, this is just, show, and he's just playing to his base. Over the last 2 years, more than 100,000 minors have come across that border. And when you're an unaccompanied minor and you come across that border, guess what? We don't do any vetting to figure out who we're handing you over to. So you got 12-year-old girls coming across that border, and we're handing them off to who knows who.
Yeah,
and
terrible.
Why isn't the left just yelling and screaming about the human trafficking and the scourge of drugs? These aren't all people coming to just, make life better for their family. These are people purposely moving kids into America. Some of them are going into gangs. Some of them are going over to perverts. You don't know who they're going into. And it's time that the left actually realize we shouldn't be complicit in allowing this trafficking of children.
It's such an important point, and it's such a real, problem. And just yesterday, they made the announcement that 99 unaccompanied minors that were identified as members of MS-13 were taken into custody, et cetera, by the president, had them arrested. I mean, you really have to be careful in terms of why wouldn't you? I mean, it's not mean-spirited. It's looking for justice and making sure that you do not let people come in, unaccompanied minors, human trafficking, gang or cartel elements coming in here to do wrong.
Well, it just shows that the government isn't doing a good job vetting either.
Right.
And we can't rely on the government for all of that stuff. And I don't think we have proper vetting processes in place because, frankly, Congress won't do its job.
And Congress didn't fund more beds, so you can't just continue to house them. So when you get to the overflow situation, the bad guys know this. They have to just release them, and they go out into who knows where?
God knows, into the ether. Juan.
Well, I do think this is theater. I don't think there's any
Security
question.
theater.
Absolutely theater, but it's theater launched by President Trump at a moment when he is going into chaos at the White House. He's sending off tweets about everything. He's blaming everybody. He blames President Obama. He blames the Mexican government. He blames the left wing. He blames California. In this situation, by the way, Greg, I think it was BuzzFeed or Vice or somebody that first called attention to it. Fox and Friends then picked up on it. BuzzFeed. Thank you, Kennedy. And then Fox and Friends picks up, then the president sees it, and then he reacts to it, and then blows it way out of proportion.
But that's
because these people were never intended to come across the border except to possibly apply for what is quite legal, called, guess what, they wanted some kind of asylum. And that's in the American laws.
Not for MS-13 gang members. No asylum for you.
This is all part of the vilification.
It's not vilification. It's part of the fact pattern. You don't want to deal with the facts. And you said the president's squirming at 51%. It's his most, his highest.
51%.
Yes.
His average.
No, you
his
only
average
like to look
is,
at
I think,
polls that favor your
39%
side.
in Real Clear Politics average of polls.
Okay, and how about Rasmussen?
Rasmussen
is not
even a good poll. It's
They were the closest,
like it when
they
it
were the closest in
benefits your
predicting the
guy.
election. They were off by 1 point in the election, Juan. Don't spread lies like that.
Oh, don't spread lies.
That's
like,
a lie.
Rasmussen,
they were one of the top, probably, I think, the top poll when it came to the election.
Let me just tell you something. That Rasmussen does robocall polling. It doesn't even get people who have cell phones, which at this point is half the country.
Well, they were right on the election.
So Psychic Friends Network.
Off by 1 point.
They got it right.
Juan, let's say it is theater, and it might be. It might be the president, like I said, looking like he's doing something. But there is an effect. There is a perceptual effect in that illegal immigration has slowed down since the president took the oath of office.
Actually, it's at a 46-year low, and in March, we saw an uptick.
There was an uptick, however, and I think a lot of it has to do
necessary then.
with DACA uncertainty. But you have 4 border states. 3 of the governors in those states, New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona, have commended the president and said, thank you, we welcome the help. We want as much law enforcement boosting as we possibly can. California is very much on the fence. Don't be surprised if there's a massive resistance to deploying the National Guard in California. And don't you think that creates the perception that California is now the place to go because the border
We're all
is
dealing with perceptions
Juan, let me get this in. I'll get you to respond.
Like it or not, that alters people's behavior.
So meanwhile, the sanctuary revolt in California continues with another city voting to support the Trump administration's lawsuit against the state's sanctuary's laws. Now, today, the president once again addressed the sanctuary problem. Take a listen. Juan will respond.
If you look in California and you see what's happening, it's an incredible phenomenon because sanctuary cities, it's the worst. It's basically a city to protect a lot of people that are bad people, really bad.
Okay, Juan, your response to this?
Well, I mean, again, this is all part. The president didn't get the money in the budget to build the wall. He promised the wall. Ann Coulter and people on the far right have said, hey, what happened to your pledge? Now we see him reacting impulsively. You point out, by the way, these folks have no authority to arrest or detain any illegal immigrant. Kennedy points out, we don't have the money. We're spending money like all of a sudden, oh, there's tons of money.
There is tons of money. They plussed up the domestic budget by 13%. Okay. They added hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right, but they didn't put in money for this.
But they do for the military. They got some $86 billion more.
So in other words, now he's changing the terms. By the way, I noticed Mexico's not paying for any of this, which was the initial promise, right? So to me, this is theater. But you guys apparently are buying into it. So I got to.
Can I respond to the fact that it is not theater when an actual caravan turned around? And what you're seeing, and this is very important as an overall trend when you look at why Donald Trump's numbers are ticking up, and it is a trend. You don't look at the absolute value, but the trend in the Rasmussen poll, which is a legitimate poll. The reason why it's upticking is because he represents a certain assumption about law and order. What you're seeing, what you saw with that caravan was the old school meeting the new school. The old school, hardline, no BS, send in the army Trump, goes up against to the social justice grievance culture that has been around for years, which speaks of amnesty and speaks of sanctuary cities. And to quote Juan, guess what? He walked all over him. Trump walked all over it. He won. He stood his ground. And it reminds me, and you know, I will never use the phrase Reagan-esque, but it reminds me of Reagan in 1969 when he sent the National Guard in the riots in Berkeley, and he established, you know, a curfew, and he refused to negotiate. No one remembers the negotiators. They remember the people that stood their ground for America. America first, not America last. It's working.
Let me just tell you, first of all, the caravan's been coming up every year for the last several years. So
and he sent it back.
Yeah, and it's never. That's
not theater. It's fact.
And the president congratulated Mexico for helping him deal with it.
He got him to the table.
I'm agreeing. But this is what Mexico does every year.
You know what? They got him to cooperate.
You know, and this is a part of the story that it's painful to admit, but part of the reason that Central America is decimated is because of the drug war. Yeah. And it is not done anything. Committing these resources has not done anything about the demand for drugs in this country, like it or not, for better or for worse.
Be careful. Don't tell the truth like that. The audience may rebel.
Wait, no, the truth is 90% of the heroin comes from Mexico. Yes. You said something different yesterday.
What'd I say?
You said that heroin is all coming from prescriptions.
No. I said heroin from prescriptions.
Yeah.
The cartels
the opioids.
It's
90% of
well.
No, what
yesterday
I said was this.
Jesse brought up that an overwhelming percentage and overdoses are caused by street drugs. 90% of all heroin comes from Mexico. You dismissed that.
No, what I'm saying to you
check the Washington Post.
Well, I'm just telling you, DEA says most of the illegal drugs entering this country come through legal ports of entry. People hide them on themselves.
But you said you dismissed Mexico. 90% of heroin comes from there.
That's a small source.
That's
more
still
people
drug
die.
smuggling that's handled and at the direction of the cartel. What are you talking about?
Let me just tell you what I'm talking about. The big threat to us as Americans at this moment are prescription drugs, the opioids. That's what's killing us as an American people. They're killing 5 times the number of people that are killed by cocaine, heroin,
But do you know what happens when marijuana is legal? In states where there's medical marijuana, not only are there far fewer prescriptions for morphine and hydrocodone, there are also far fewer opioid deaths. The rate of overdose drops by about 25%.
Well, you're not going to get an argument from me, huh?
That is the pro-marijuana legalization lobby over there on that end of the table.
Yeah, and it doesn't help to demonize people who are experiencing cancer pain by saying opioids are evil.